Hey y'all. I don't usually do these. I've only done like a couple of them here. But I wanted to talk about this. Dark Side of the Ring is back. It actually came back yesterday night. I just missed it because I forgot to set me off for it. I forgot it was happening on that night. So I just watched it a little while ago. Chris and Tammy, the episode was. Now, I didn't. I knew Chris Candido sounded familiar, and come to find out later on in the episode, I actually knew him from ECW and TNA. I've heard. I've heard the name thrown around. I've heard the name mentioned. I've not sought out any of his matches or anything. But that is where I know him. Where I know him from. Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch. I'm not gonna go over the episode beat for beat, but just overall keep notes of the episode. Something that was mentioned at the beginning by his brother, I forget the name, but something that was mentioned by his brother that was interesting and that really set up a tone for this whole episode because, yeah, like I say, Chris Candido, I still don't really know much about. Well, I know about him now, but I didn't know much about him then. I didn't really know that he was ultimately gonna die. But something his brother said, no, I think if you told Chris, you're gonna die at 33, you're not gonna have a family, you're not gonna get married, but you're gonna be remembered by millions of wrestling fans as what was theater maybe an innovator of the smaller style, then if you'd ask him sort of a Faustian bargain, if you'd ask him would you take it, he'd say yes. And that was very telling to me. The rest of the episode I could see why watching the rest of the episode I could see why he would say that now. But Chris Candido, the episode started off with him having an immense passion, a yard into the eye and a joy for wrestling. And yet, it's what he's always wanted to do. There was a story, that I think speaks volumes that him and a buddy of his, they were 13 at the time, him and a buddy of his would say, hey, I'm going to sleep over at so-and-so's house, and the other guy would say, hey, I'm going to sleep over at Chris's house, and they would hop on a bus, and they would go wrestle. They would go, I don't know who the trainer was, I don't know if they're self-trained. The documentary never got into that, but they would go and wrestle. They do that. I think it said they do that at least once a week, and they clean themselves up after their matches, and they were none the wiser. They just thought they were at just regular sleepover stuff, regular teenage boy stuff at sleepovers. But that's the amount of passion the guy had. So much so that he wanted to develop, well, I say wanted to, we did develop it into a career with with Smoky Mountain Wrestling dropped. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I said I wasn't going to go with the beat for beat, but it just came out of the episode, so I remember it pretty well. His mom went to one of his wrestling matches. I mean, not wrestling, yeah, collegiate wrestling matches. So she went to one of them, and a boy had Chris in headlock like his opponent. He was like, hey, check out the beyond of the first row. And apparently that was Tammy Finch. And his mom said, oh, I saw him, and I saw him, she just looked heavenly, which is really the definition of irony, considering what we know now about Miss Finch. But yeah, you get the impression, well, not really the impression, see more yes said it. That they did not like Tammy Finch very much. They didn't think he would look good if he was not a boy or something, which it turned out she was right. But yeah, you get the distinct impression that Chris's mom did not like Tammy so much. And I mean, even before the ending, even before knowing what I know now, I can see why. I mean, the documentary says they actually head over heels for each other. Like they were, if you wanted a good concrete example in the documentary, Chris had a date to the prom. He had the date to the prom prior, and Tammy was there. He actually dumped his date and yet with her, with the mom said, yeah, I don't think that was a smart thing. That was a smart thing to do. That really wasn't a nice thing to do. But it is a at least for the documentary, it is a funny story to tell, and a concrete story to tell on how head over heels they were for each other. So, out of high school, Chris was trying to get booked. He ended up going to Smoky Mountain Wrestling with Jim Cornette. He had some success there, but Jim said, and I do respect this, he said, hey, I couldn't justify asking this kid to move down to Tennessee for $75 a night. For like 4 nights a week, I couldn't justify that. So that's how, it's funny thinking Tammy would have probably never been brought in if Cornette could justify that. But he couldn't. So he thought, hey, Chris had a girlfriend. Why she's charismatic. I don't know if they can talk yet, but she's charismatic. Why don't we bring her in the kind of managerial position for Chris? So that way I can give them both the lecture. And so they brought, so Jim brought Tammy in. And she was, like I say, I've never really seen an interview in person, but it looked like Tammy was a natural. I mean, parodying her a kid at the time. I mean, taking off the Republican fan base at the time that hated the kittens. And, yeah, he had some success in Smoky Mountain Championship Wrestling, but Tammy actually got more over quicker than he was because of the type of character he was portraying and he was playing as. It wasn't long before they got ears inside the WB and WBF at the time actually, and and when the contract ran out, they WB scooped them up and gave them horrible gimmicks by all accounts. I mean, gave them some bodybuilder gimmicks, some like Adonis gimmicks, I guess you could say, some workout gimmicks, and Jim just sort of nailed this. He just goes, okay, so Tammy's not over, and Chris is not over at all, given the situation they find themselves in. And I'm just like, you know what? I think I hate WB a little bit more now. And I know I hate Vince McMahon more, because even in we all know the stories, even in the Vince McMahon's proclivities, even as far back when he got the book. But, how do you look at a guy like that, at even something that's over in another promotion, which we know Vince likes to put his own stamp on things, but how do you miss the goal so spectacularly? I mean, if something was working in another promotion, why change it? So this got no reaction at all. The same thing happened in WWF, ironically, that happened to Smoky Mountain anyway, whereas Tammy did get more overs than Chris did because of sex appeal and everything. Yeah, they just got more over than he was, or Chris zipped down the card. This is what irritated me. This is what sort of opened my eyes in a way, because I didn't connect. I've heard about the Sonny and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart promo, but I didn't connect that until this moment. They got on to Sonny's affair with Shawn Michaels. And they got on to, hey, I think Shawn's just doing it because he can. An attractive woman, big star of the company, not justifying it at all, but Shawn's just doing it because he's in that position. According to Terry Reynolds, and she's not justifying it either, I believe this to be true. Terry Reynolds said basically, being with the top guy and the champion of the promotion sounded a whole lot better to her, and probably more to Vaughn, it was herself, sounded a whole lot better to her than being with whatever Chris was doing at the time, being associated with that. And then we sort of get Sonny's side of it. And this is the way I really got irritated. So after this always been brought out to the open, after the affair with Sonny, Jim Cornette said, hey, if Shawn wasn't the guy that he was, and he looked at Chris Candido sideways, Chris would have broken him in 15 different pieces. Which I did enjoy that line. But yeah, I act on Michaels now, but the 90s, the 90s overall do not paint him in a good light. But, so we get all that out of the open, all the fan stuff. And one of them just basically goes, he was head over heels, he felt responsibility because he brought into this business, he felt responsibility, Chris did, to take care of Tammy, Yada Sonny, and he just felt a responsibility for that. And then we get Sonny's side of things. We get Sonny saying, this was in 2020, so I don't know if they changed the story since then, but even after so long, we get Sonny saying, oh, it was an amicable period, we paired up for a while, and that's when I was with, that's when I got with Son. I do not believe that for a second. I do. I mean, rumors were, even back then, it was probably well known of Sonny's affair with Son. So I do not be that for a minute, and I do not understand for the life of me why they would lie about that, even so many years later. So, eventually, Chris is being used as full potential in WBF. Surprise, surprise. Eventually, Chris goes to ECW. And this was one of the reasons I really wanted to make this video. Chris goes to ECW. I'm like, oh, to see this guy happy. It just filled me with joy. It just filled my heart up to see him happy. Even though I know from the beginning of the episode how it's ultimately gonna end for him, just seeing him happy just makes me happy. But, yeah, because this guy deserved a lot more. In ECW, like I said, I never really watched any of his matches on charity, but in ECW, and this is not hard to do, but in ECW, either Jim Cornette or someone else said, oh, in ECW it was obviously the best work of Chris's career, which, like I say, it's not hard to do at all. But he got in I forget what exactly happened. I think it was an injury or something, but he ended up getting into drugs, and he ended up buying them off some guys. That hey, somewhere they can kill you. Some were big thing in the 90s was rescuers, according to Jim Cornette, and according to his brother, he went from taking them just for pain, and this is how addiction happened. He went from taking them just for pain to taking them to fall asleep at night and then just forgetting about it. So that sort of broke my heart there. Just what happened. Cause this guy Chris yubbed wrestling, something that brought such pride and joy into his life, and I mean the mom was never supportive of it. I mean the mom was never supportive of wrestling because she wanted I mean, I doubt he knew what all went on, but he just wanted a different career path for Chris. He had more to offer as far as he was concerned. Um, but it might be hard. It might be hard for the mom, I was thinking, because Resi is something that brought a lot of light and a lot of joy into Chris's life. It ultimately took him away from her too, at the age of 33. So we get later on the documentary, we get part of Chris's redemption story. The first part of Chris's redemption story, which is unfortunately the ending too. But Chris says, "Hey, all these indie guys, they don't," which a lot of the criticism hasn't changed. With some, with some wrestling fans finding talent today, but Chris was saying, "Hey, all these indie guys, they don't even look like wrestlers." I mean, when I was that age, I was breaking my back. I was already on national television with Smoky Mountain and everything, and it was then it come to realization. I forget exactly how this happened. They didn't really make it clear in the episode, but I'll go back and rewatch it to make sure. It was at this moment he realized, "Oh man, I screwed up, didn't I?" And his brother like, "No, you didn't screw up, dude. You're 31. I mean, you have time to bounce back and get back on track." So he undergone a severe according to the documentary, a severe body transformation, a severe workout to get himself back in ring safe. And he looked great from the few seconds we saw of him in the ring. He was with an upstart TNA at the time. He was quick. He was agile, and but in TNA, unfortunately, he twisted his ankle. I didn't really even know he could do. I didn't really even know he could do this, but I guess it does make sense. He jammed his ankle in the mat, and he just snapped his ankle. So he tried to get up, but he couldn't, and he was carried out the ring. He was helped out of the ring. He got some surgery. He got some surgery pretty quick, actually. So he got the surgery. Appeared on TNA. Appeared on TNA television a couple days later to update him, and then he flew back. And then he called his mom. He said, "Mom, I just don't feel good." And she said, "Oh, you just need to sleep it off. It's not good. It's not good for you to be flying. You just need to go to bed. You probably shouldn't have done that." So he talked with one of his friends, Tom Pritchard, I think his name was. Tom Pritchard is the other guy that was in the documentary that I don't remember the name of. He talked with one of his other friends. He's fine. They had where they said to each other, "Well, I love you, bro." And that was the last time anyone ever talked to him. Because that night he went to bed and just, I don't know exactly how he got to the hospital, but he he was in the he died that night. I mean, either the ambulance was called to bring him into the hospital or something other happened, but he died. He unfortunately died that night. And the reason was something I didn't even really know about. According to Jim Cornette, you're not supposed to fly when you get surgery because, well, after you get surgery, because it hits the meeting you have to. Because the altitude and the pressure, you could get blood clots. I mean, that doesn't always happen, but it's a possibility. So, yeah, he shouldn't have flown. But, yeah, the doctor comes out to Tammy and he expressed his condolences. He said, hey, I'm sorry he's gone. And Tammy's unfortunately had on problems and which part of me was thinking about the documentary as I was watching it. Part of me was thinking, okay, well, no wonder Tammy drinks and no wonder Tammy does drugs and all that. She's trying to forget about Chris. I don't think that's the issue, but it could have been satisfying maybe to think about if that was the case. The legacy of Chris Candido we get at the end, by his mom, but by a couple of historians, by a couple of professionals. His mom says, hey, he done more in 33 years than I've done 73. And we get Jim Cornette and I think Lance Storm or Tom Pritchard, one or the other. We get them saying, hey, if Chris were alive today, he'd be one of the biggest dogs in the industry. Because what Chris was and who Chris was is widely more accepted now. Even by WB in some aspects. I mean, it's widely more accepted now to think of Chris as like a pioneer than think of Sonny. Jan Storm says this. Sonny ushered in he basically says this. Sonny ushered in the era of the diva that's passé now. That almost no one falls down that path like they do Chris's. So, I mean, obviously, it'd be better if Chris was still alive today, but that's the comforting thought that his legacy remains in maybe wrestlers that were inspired by him or took some inspiration from him. Well, this review has kind of been all over the place, but like I say, I just wanted to get it out for that, just for that feeling of joy that I did get seeing Chris happy in ECW ultimately. Guys, I'll see you when I see you properly, and remember, Dark Side of the Ring is on Tuesday night at 10. I've said it in the arms, so I'm not gonna forget again. But I highly recommend you check out the other episodes on Tubi. They're on Vice. Tubi is free, and Vice is also free. You can check out one or the other. But guys, have a good night, and thank you for watching.